Hey guys, and welcome to Breakdown. You're with the Levels of Wrestling, and tonight we discuss which stars should shine and which stars should burn out. That was really difficult to say without having too much of a list. Tonight we're joined by Mind of Carnage and, of course, long-time member Skeletor. So how are we doing, guys?
Hi, good.
Great, amazing. There. You happy?
Yo, ease up, man. Relax.
Scaring kids, scaring people.
Yeah.
That's how we roll.
Okay, guys. So obviously, in WWE and basically any promotion, there's always going to be like one or two stars who shine higher than the rest. Who do you see at the moment, being in WWE, as the top three shining stars?
Top three shining stars. I've always been a big fan of Cesaro. I've always liked his work. Are you mean just in general now, like who are the top guys?
Just whoever you see at the moment as the top three shining stars.
Wait, okay, so is it like who we like the most, or the three top guys in the company as we believe like Vince placed them?
Who do you believe are the top three best? Not
Hold
who
on,
Vince
now,
believes. Who do you
is it
believe
like
are the
who?
three best shining stars that stand out the most?
I was gonna go with the joke there. No, but for myself, I go with Cesaro. I like Seth Rollins because I like him as a character. I like him because he's extremely talented too. And Dolph Ziggler. Those are my three that I find.
Somewhere Paul is cringing.
I don't care.
But yeah, Paul is not a Ziggler fan. But I think my three are probably okay. Daniel Bryan has been one of my favorite. He's probably been my favorite guy for like 3 years. Then let's go Luke Harper, who's been amazing. Like the entire time he's been on the main roster, but especially amazing since he became a single superstar. And yeah, Cesaro's pretty great. I guess three could be Cesaro because he goes week in, week out, putting on really good stuff, even when it's on like main event.
Any show, even like when he's involved in NXT, the guy like it just explodes with talent.
Yeah, he's a guy who's like very consistent in quality and doesn't just go up and down on like depending on what show he's on or what week it is.
Or who he's going up against.
Yeah, he's made some garbage guys have good matches.
Mm.
I think one of the key ones, obviously, I mean, he's working now with Tyson Kidd. A lot of people weren't interested in Tyson Kidd's title, and now all of a sudden he's in this tag team. You get a bit of attention on him. For me, my top three guys at the moment, if you want to look at it, would probably be, I think, Bray Wyatt. You got to look at Kevin Owens down in NXT, and Seth Rollins would probably be my other guy. He kind of seems to be shining above the other two Shield members at the moment.
Oh, I didn't realize you were including NXT in that too.
Oh yeah, the whole of WWE.
Well, next time, be more clear.
Okay.
My answers would be exactly the same.
I would still go if we were incorporating NXT. I would incorporate Kevin Owens, Cesaro, and I'd probably
Rollins.
still stick with. Actually, no, you know what? I'm gonna change that. If we were actually going with those guys, I'd go with Kevin Owens, Cesaro, and Bray Wyatt because I completely forgot about Bray Wyatt. he's another guy.
Bray Wyatt, who is now feuding with himself, featuring The Undertaker.
You know what? I don't mind the promos that he's having. I think they work great, and I think finally we're able to see a feud where the kind of mind teasers we wanted for so long is actually coming to fruition.
Yeah, he's got like a direction now, which has helped a lot. Because he used to just like when I went to Raw like a year ago, the whole crowd chanted "boring" at him, and it was because for like 3 months the guy had just said the same stuff to no one with no direction.
Yeah, just go out there and talk. We don't care who you're addressing.
Okay, so obviously you guys have quite a strong head on who you feel are the three, shining stars. But what does it take to impress you guys to make you feel that someone is standing out that much?
For me, I'm not really one with promos. Like, it varies on the individuals. Like for me, I'm not one with promos. I prefer being able to work the crowd and being able to actually deliver in-ring capabilities. So that's why for me, I like Cesaro. With the promo wise, because I'm not a big fan of promos or really care that much for promos, Bray Wyatt has really kind of wowed me. So that's why for me, he kind of puts that lasting impression in my head. That's why I go for him. And as for Kevin Owens, he just seems to be a downright individual, like just down to earth individual. He doesn't seem like when he talks, he doesn't seem to be on a script or anything of that nature. So I kind of like his attitude because he's like, I don't care what you have to say, I'm just gonna kick your ass. And I think that's just what for me is what really attracts me to those guys.
So both in ring and kind of promo ability as well.
Yeah, but for me, it's more in ring.
Okay. What about you, Skeletor? How do you think?
Uh, I guess my main things, like, if someone can tear it up on the microphone, that's great. But like, an interesting like gimmick or character, even if it's not like amazing promo week in and week out, but just the character's very, something interesting. That's what goes a long way. Because there's like some very silent guys who I'm a huge fan of because of their interesting gimmicks, but also because of strong ring work. Like I think gimmick and ring work are my main things. Though if Steve Austin's like one of the best ever because he had a cool gimmick, was great in the ring, especially before he got his neck broke, and you know could kill it on the microphone every single week.
Yeah, like you also gotta look at how they're able to play the crowd because obviously with an individual that's not able to play the crowd to get them behind them, you're not going to get a lot of that attention. You're not going to get that a lot of that draw to want to see this person. So yeah, you can have great in-ring skill and abilities, but you also do need to have that sense of draw to you.
I think a lot of stars now, obviously, with today's era being slightly different to, obviously, Aaron, you're mentioning Steve Austin. Back then, there wasn't so much, I don't want to say internet, but that's a big thing with it. Obviously, today's stars are very different because they've got to work to a different fan base. But still, it's the same kind of basic skill set. Like you said, he goes out every week, he tears it up on the microphone. He was great in the ring, obviously, up until his neck broke, and even then, he was still pretty good.
Yeah, still good,
Oh, yeah.
just not as like he was fantastic before the neck break.
And I mean, there's guys now that have those skill sets, but it doesn't seem like they get the opportunity to use them. So obviously, one of the things I asked today on Twitter was, who do you feel is held back? If you could pick one man to be main event status, I mean, feasibly, for like a long time, who would you say is ready to go?
Like right now in the current roster,
Right now, current roster, just main roster, no NXT.
I would say Bray Wyatt. I think that he has an ability to be able to be a champion in a champion that draws attention for a while.
I think I would go for, and this is a choice most people I don't think wouldn't make at this point, but Cody Rhodes has been really great for like 4 years now at doing weird gimmicks that they saddle him with. Stuff that shouldn't have worked. He was incredibly over when him and his brother were doing the anti-authority thing. I feel like if they transitioned him out of that instead of waiting so long with him in the tag team, he probably could have gone into the main event pretty easily. But like the guy can now talk pretty well. He can make weird, hard to do gimmicks work, and he has really good matches. Like I have mixed feelings about the whole Stardust thing, but Cody Rhodes just in general is like a very great talent who could be a main event guy for years. He's only like 28 still.
I was kind of mixed on Cody Rhodes as Stardust until the promos he began cutting backstage recently.
Yeah, the stuff with his dad is like has been really good, and that has
Like
helped quite a bit.
It's really unusual because it feels like it's coming from the heart when he does that with his dad. But at the same time, it's like, it shouldn't because it's such a dark topic. Like, you don't really expect that from a Rhodes. I know that sounds unusual, but
No, and the thing about him is that he's that you can tell that he has a lot of passion for it too, and he's able to actually bring it out in the Stardust character. For me as a champion, I don't know. I don't see person him being a full long time champion. I see him not the main one at least. I see him being probably mid tier, but not the top of the chain. It depends. Like if he works with other guys and if he can actually adapt to other people's personality and promos and characters themselves, I would like to see that. But right now, it's been very limited to the tag team divisions, which we always see the same matches over and over again, and Goldust. Like, and the thing is with Goldust and his father, that's probably the most attitude I've seen out of him or that Stardust character, and that kind of impressed me. But I need to see more to be able to actually identify him as a main tier guy.
Yeah, I feel like he's been like borderline to the main event where they could have done something with him there like 2 or 3 times now, like
Mhm.
when he was going against the Authority, or his weird like my face was destroyed by Rey Mysterio thing that got surprisingly over. Like I feel there's been a couple times where I feel like he could have gotten pushed into that slot, like especially when there was a second world title.
I think that he should just get the "I'm a creeper" mustache back, and then just kind of freak the shit out of people. Just like ends
Combi-
up being in the washroom, and just kind of like when someone's going to pee, just kind of comes out of the stalls. Then
so
that'd be kind of creepy.
combine the my face was destroyed thing with the mustache thing.
You know
So
what?
just
Even
an
better.
insane person.
Even better. Combine the Stardust face paint, have no face paint like he had on Fastlane, and just have the creepy mustache. Then we're set. That's a character I will put my 100%
Face paint,
support with.
mustache, like extremely flamboyant pants, and no shirt and
That
gloves.
that hisses and screams like a little child. Yes. What doesn't scream entertainment on that?
Like the world's most terrifying Rick Rude.
No? No? I think that would work.
Kate, you mentioned something there about a tier rating. Guys, this is something you're probably going to hear a little bit about tonight. Obviously, everyone has their own way of looking at how a roster should be built, but we have, on other shows, discussed this idea of almost a pyramid scheme, if you will, of how the roster is built. Now, obviously, we've all got the same idea about main event, mid card, and lower card, but I think quite a few people have mixed impressions of who should be in which section. For instance, I personally wouldn't say that Dolph Ziggler was main event. I would say he's somewhere in between main event and mid card. He's almost like, as we've said before, the jobber to the stars. So, who would you
Yeah, I agree with that.
In the Kane RVD space.
Yeah. So, who would you currently say is in the top main event segment? How many stars should be there at one time?
Uh, it's kind of hard because you're always gonna have one or you're gonna always have two, maybe three stars at the max, really focusing on the main championships that need to actually get that spotlight. So I don't think you need to have a ton of main or top tier guys. What I believe you need to have is a ton of high mid card guys to be able to take that spot when the spotlight is off the top guys. Like for me, I'll go with three guys at the top, like that to have like that main top tier is three guys because I don't think you need more because then you're just overflowing everything.
Okay, wait, okay. In the Attitude Era, you had Rock, Mankind, Austin, Taker. And that's 4, so I'll say 4. uh, so 4 guys, and that basically goes with now. You know, you got the Cena, Orton, Bryan, and, you know, Sheamus was for a while, and then he kind of fell off, and I'm not entirely sure who 4 would be right now.
Like I don't know Brock Lesnar, but he's a limited appearance, right? So I can't
Yeah,
really count him as like a
Brock's
main
so
guy.
weird. Brock is so weird in his positioning, where he's like technically the top guy, but he only appears like 3 times a year.
Oh,
So
yeah. I mean, that's exactly what I said before. I mean, Brock Lesnar is your Shao Kahn. So those of you who have ever played like Mortal Kombat, you'll understand that Shao Kahn is the one guy that you beat once, and that's it. You don't see him for the whole game; he just shows up.
yeah, he's the final boss of the WWE.
Yeah, essentially.
He's the Goro in humankind.
And I guess Paul Heyman's like Shang Tsung or something.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look at it, you can look at like wrestling in a very video game status or even a movie status. So Brock Lesnar would probably be like the top of the top. So who's below him? Like
Cena.
the 3 or 4 guys.
Yes, Cena. Like he's not positioned right like that right now at this second, but 98% of the time since 2005, it's John Cena.
Yeah. Like
Uh,
going through the roster right now, if you wanted to go, I would go with Lesnar, Cena, Triple H, and then probably of it's hard like Orton. Probably those are the top 4 guys that I can see right now who are still competing in the ring.
See, it's funny. I don't know if I would include Triple H. I kind of feel like he shouldn't be included now as main roster. The same way I wouldn't include Undertaker now as main roster.
I'd probably slot out Triple H for Daniel Bryan, who is
Or Daniel Bryan, true.
yeah,
Yeah,
who's very popular still. And though like Cena at the second is not positioned in the top, he is a top guy.
I would probably agree. Daniel Bryan, as much as I dislike the guy, is definitely up to the top. John Cena, I don't know if we could even put Orton there anymore. I mean, he's good and he's great, but he's kind of been taken off that top spot for a long time now.
But he can still fill it though.
Oh, he could easily fill it, yes. But I mean, he's not. John Cena, for instance, isn't going to drop below that status now. I don't think Daniel Bryan possibly could.
Yeah, I don't know. Randy Orton was WWE World Heavyweight Champion this time last year. Like, I feel like he's definitely a top guy, and like he's back, and the crowd goes nuts for him, and which is interesting because he was a heel for like 5 years, and then he got beat up by Seth Rollins and came back and RKO'd some people, and now he's incredibly over as a babyface.
Because
Yep.
we all hate Rollins.
Yeah, Rollins is actually pretty effective.
Found recently he's definitely one of those guys that I've kind of gone, oh god, he's on my screen again. And especially when they're cutting I believe it's the WrestleMania promo at the moment that plays advertising when it's going to be. He does this weird little head shake, this smug head roll, and every time I see it, I just want to punch him in the face. So hard. I mean, that's how you know you're a good heel.
When
Like,
you irritate somebody to a point of like you want to kill them.
oh yeah, that's when you're definitely a good heel.
Yeah, you pretty if I was going by my wife's standard when it comes to wrestling, then every single person on that roster is a fucking heel.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. Like I had what was it? I had the same feeling. Oh, God, I can't remember who it was. They're not on the main roster anymore, but I had the same feeling about was one guy a while back. I just can't remember his name. If I do, I'll. This is a bad story. If I never mind, it's cool. That's a bad story. Yeah, pretty much. Big Show is a pro. I don't like Big Show. I'm sick and tired of Big Show. That's my issue with him.
Yeah, I find quite a lot of people are saying that they're sick and tired of Kane and Big Show. And I slowly feel that WWE is going to use that against you and turn them into major heels because of it.
Well,
I think I was just gonna say I think at any point in time they can flip a switch and put Kane in either mask or the big black and red pants or big whatever version you want to throw out, and then handle Big Show in a not crying way, or he's KO punching everyone, and you flip that switch and people like care again. It's happened like 8 times. People have said that they were sick of Kane and Big Show in like 06, and then got into them again, and then got out, didn't no longer like them in like 09, and they got into them again in like 2010. It's just they go up and down a lot. It's kind of where their position in the card is. Sometimes they have to just get their asses beat week after week and be kind of boring, and other times they get real like pushes and get to play with their characters a little bit more.
Like, I agree with it. My biggest fear, specifically with the whole Andre the Giant Battle Royale coming up, is that they're pretty much going to have a mirroring of Royal Rumble, where they're just knocking people out, throwing people over the ropes. That's my biggest fear. And for me, the Royal Rumble, when it actually happened, it really aggravated me because it killed. First and foremost, Bray Wyatt had a great momentum in the Royal Rumble. All of a sudden, get knocked out and thrown out. Ziggler knocked out, thrown out. Dean Ambrose knocked out, thrown out. You know, it just for me it killed the momentum of the Royal Rumble, and that was just one portion of it that pissed me off because I had other issues with the Royal Rumble. But I just don't want that to be a mirror or a thing because these guys are so large. But don't get me wrong, Kane and Big Show are two guys that can dominate a scene. Their size is pretty much adherent of that. They can dominate it, they can take over. But it's just the attitudes that they have. Because when you look at them, you get scared. But when they talk, you're like, oh shit, I can throw a rock at you and you cry. Like,
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously character issues, but at the same time, I'd still say they're two prominent guys on the roster. If you were to take them out now, you've got to admit there'd probably be two very big slots to fill, and I don't know if I could say anyone was ready to fill them.
yeah, but you're all like you're looking at it as size wise though.
Oh no, I mean like although you could say size wise, these two guys are like enforcers. Who's ready to fill that slot as an imposing enforcer? Luke Harper comes close. I don't know if he's ready though full time to do that because I feel he's meant for bigger things at this point.
I got it. Adam Rose.
Adam Rose and Fandango are the new Kane and Big Show.
Man, you're just being better. Such a lie.
But God.
Oh yeah.
The worst pick ever.
It was one of those things where like I purposely said something stupid, and then I thought about it, and it was significantly worse than I even thought when I said it.
Like the only other one that I can think of to really uphold like that kind of security look. If you were to pick two guys, yeah, Luke Harper, but like you said, like you don't know if it's full time, but Mark Henry.
Yeah, Henry I feel would be good, but again I think people would complain that he's there too often then, which is a really sad thing.
Also, Mark Henry Mark Henry wrestles for a year and then goes out for 6 months, like on a cycle since like 2006. The dude does not stay healthy.
What
He's
about
trying to hit the Undertaker's point?
Like if you're looking at full-time guys, you can probably even look at Ryback or Titus O'Neil.
Yeah, Ryback would be a good shout, and so would Titus O'Neil. I could see that happen.
I know Titus, like with Titus, his promos are not that bad to be honest with you. It's just that the way that he's been portrayed is kind of like, okay, you know, you're going to be the fastest entrant out of the Royal Rumble this year. You're going to have crap matches, stuff like that. I think the guy would benefit more if he was given a little bit more opportunities, but I don't know. They seem to not want to go that way with him.
I wonder if Titus was happy that Roman and Dean screwed up the spot and made him not go out within a quarter of a second.
I know, huh? Out of everything, Vince was the angriest at that. It's like, really? Obviously, that was your idea.
Okay, so who do you feel then currently is, you know, we've said who we feel has the most potential, but who do you feel is the most held back? Regardless of main event status, I kind of feel guys like, I've said it before, but Kofi, Xavier Woods could probably do quite a bit in the main event, or it's not main event, sorry, mid-card. Mid-card, main event sort of level. But, you know, there's a time and a place.
I won't agree with Xavier Woods, and because I have a personal issue with the guy. I'll agree with Kofi and Big E, but I won't agree with Xavier Woods.
He just hates people with PhDs.
No, he blocked me for no reason. I have no idea why this guy blocked me. Okay, I asked him if he's playing the Black Power Ranger, which he said he would, and next thing I know, I'm blocked. I'm like, seriously, what the fuck? Fuck you. That's all I gotta say. But I agree. I agree with the Kofi, and I agree with Kofi and Titus. Those are two that I would go with.
You know, yeah, the people everyone says are held back, I don't really agree with, because it's like they throw out people who are like a fraction of a step from the main event, or like, you know, have only been around for like a year and have been killing it, and it's like, just wait a minute. Like, there's people who probably could be higher up who have actually kind of been held down or had issues. Like Daniel Bryan being in the mid card for 2 months is not him being buried.
Yeah, I think Ziggler said it best. I mean, the guy got a year-long push and then won the championship belt at WrestleMania. Not buried.
Yeah,
no, not at all.
But
like he was out for 8 months. Like I don't understand this whole concept of he's out for 8 months with injury, comes back, and everyone assumes he's going to be main event. Like I think he still has a good position where he is right now, to be honest with you.
He's in a great position. He's set to probably be the most dominant IC title holder
Oh yeah.
this year.
And I think, and I still, you know what? Even with this whole WrestleMania thing, if, for example, if Daniel Bryan is set to actually get the IC title, if John Cena is set to get the US title, those mid card titles are going to jump in prestige. Absolutely.
And do you not think it's going to help to build more stars that way as well? I mean, you put a mid-card guy against someone like John Cena or Daniel Bryan, that kind of elevates the status a little bit, you know?
Oh, for sure. And I think that's one of the reasons why they're doing that is because they want to elevate the status of those.
It will be interesting to see, though, obviously. This WrestleMania, you've got a load of new stars, and they've got to define who gets the push. You look at matches like Rusev John Cena. Now, a lot of people expect John Cena to win. John Cena and it's WrestleMania. It's USA versus the USSR. Wouldn't it be great if Rusev won that match and showed that he was getting a push? Showed that he was going to remain a strong heel. I mean, which strong heels, like strongman heels, have we seen recently in the main event?
Okay, I'm gonna ask you. Are you covering your mic? Because you're very mumbly right now.
No, sorry. So that you would do something. That's it.
I have no idea what you said. I know you said something about Rusev winning, about being a strong man,
Yeah.
maybe pulling down his pants, but I didn't hear the rest of it.
Any better?
Yeah, it's much better. Oh yeah.
Okay. Essentially, who at the moment do you see could be an imposing heel in the main event other than Rusev? Because, I mean, you've got Seth Rollins playing a good chicken shit heel. But there's not really anyone else that's ready to go main event heel.
If you position the guy right for a few months, you could probably get Luke Harper doing some stuff because he's really great in the ring. He can handle himself on the mic well enough, and so if you just wanted to have a big bruisery guy to float around at in the main event ish spot, he could probably do fine.
One guy that I thought that would make a good heel and work well is Dean Ambrose. I think that he could actually make a good heel just because of his look too. He looks like a greasy bastard that wants to hurt people.
I agree. I think there's going to be a time. I think WWE fear, though, that he's obviously doing too well with merchandise.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very successful babyface right now, and I think they want to just kind of keep him where he is at least for a while. And he might win the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania, so I don't know.
Now, I've just asked on Twitter who people feel had the most potential but never lived up to it. Maybe that was their fault, maybe it was WWF's fault, WWE's fault, however you look at it. One example we've been given was Brian Pillman. Do you guys feel Pillman could have gone higher, or do you feel it?
I mean, he was doing quite a bit. He just, he died. Like, I'm not entirely sure of what to say about it. They had him in solid feuds. He was doing stuff, and then he had drug issues. I'm not entirely. I don't think he could have done a whole lot more.
Yeah, but I think at that time WWE really wasn't focused on drug issues, and HBK was a perfect example of that.
Yeah, I think
that's true
had
too.
Drug issues then.
Yeah, that's a fair enough statement.
Like I think Pillman, yeah, he could have done like he still had some pretty good feuds. He was still used regularly, but yeah, in regards to like if he could have got or been more in the spotlight or more in the main event, it's kind of hard to tell. He's one of those guys that worked well where he was.
Yeah, and the same goes for like a Big Boss Man or something like that, where the guy did a good job. He just he fit a slot. Though it is weird that a guy like Boss Man, who was around for 20 years, held one title, and it was the hardcore title. It's just you the lowest level guys in WWE, the Heath Sliders of the world, have had 3 tag team titles and stuff. It's interesting to think about that time period where guys would wrestle for 20 years in the upper mid card and never get a belt.
Okay, another suggestion we've had was a guy like Owen Hart. Was Hart held down? He could have been more? I mean, personally, I feel Owen Hart was great in the mid card, and maybe upper mid card. I don't know if I'd have ever made him bigger than that though.
I just don't think that we saw that point of his attitude that we could actually envision him in the top tier. So what we saw was, yeah, it was him in the mid tier, kind of like scraping the top tier. But I don't think we got enough time with him to really see him mature into the business to be able to reach that point.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he could have, but like I said, you kind of have to see how he matures in the business to be able to get to there,
Of
which
course, and
unfortunately we were short-lived at.
And to be clear, just in case anyone thinks that we're kind of bitching and moaning, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being mid card. I mean, a lot of guys would
No.
rather be mid card because then they get featured more often.
A
I'm
lot of
kind
there's a lot of
of.
shows that are like the highlight is the mid card guys. It's amazing. Like some guys like to stay in the mid card just because, like as you said, they get featured. They're one of the top tier, or not top tier, but one of the top talked about matches in pay per view or the show itself. So
And of course,
nothing
and
bad
then
about it.
what's great as well is when they do something that's big, it gets a lot more attention than what a main event star doing something big would do.
Oh yeah.
Like it's expected of a guy in the main event. So when someone in the mid card does something like impressive, as talked about for ages, it's like, oh hey, remember that one spot? Or remember that time that they were really good? Remember that time that Kofi and Orton feuded and it didn't make sense? The shit like that.
Oh yeah. And like even with for example this WrestleMania that's coming up, WrestleMania 31, I guarantee one of the top matches that's going to be talked about is a ladder match, which is a mid card match.
Yeah, big at least 6-man ladder match. I don't know if they're gonna throw another person in there, but
I
at
thought
least six.
I thought they were going to 8 or 9.
Oh, they might.
Yeah,
They just have 6 currently.
It's
at,
kind of
at
like
the
it's
moment
kind of
they'd said it was going to be 6, but then you've got to think you've got guys like R-Truth who's still being involved, who's actually not officially announced for the match yet.
Or maybe Goldust shows up and gets
Goldust,
involved. Or
Sheamus.
Sheamus comes back. There's
Yep.
some options in there.
I think it's like in a way they're kind of replacing the Money in the Bank with this ladder match. Because they had the Money in the Bank at WrestleMania, so they're kind of because that was such a big draw to the shows. I'm thinking that they're maybe using this as kind of like, oh look, we can incorporate another ladder match.
Yeah, the Money in the Bank was like either the best part or like second best part of WrestleMania for like 8 years.
Mm.
And then they got pulled out from and put on its own pay-per-view, which is fine. That pay-per-view is very fun and like one of the best I guess pay-per-views. But yeah, this seems like a very entertaining match that'll be similar to that kind of thing, where it's just a bunch of crazy spots and everyone gets a 2-minute bit where they dominate.
Of course,
Yeah.
I really shouldn't mention being okay in the mid card without saying that, obviously WWE needs their share of jobbers as well. Guys like Heath Slater and Santino are actually like two of the most entertaining guys that have been in the roster in a long time, just because of what they do.
And they both got, well, especially Santino. Santino got some stretches of being a little bit more. He got.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, that-
Santino or Santina?
Uh,
No, Tina, I mean, she was the greatest.
but Santino. Santino's
the-
weird. Santino's one of the like weirdest cases of career that I can think of because it was like, dude had like a really long and actually pretty entertaining Intercontinental title run with the honkometer and all that stuff. That was actually pretty enjoyable. But then he jobbed out to Mickie James with one hand tied behind her back. Like he had a really weird career, and he might eventually come back because his like neck surgery went well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, there's still time. He was saying he was training to come back.
Yep.
I
I'm
maybe
actually
see him
gonna
as
be-
like a Rumble entrance or something like that.
Yeah, you know one guy who I really do think should have gotten a world title is the British Bulldog. Like, I feel like that guy could have
Davey Boy?
really. Yeah, I feel like Davey Boy should have been world champion somewhere in the '90s. Like one of those times where he was wrestling Bret Hart or something like that. He should have won. Like, he is like one of the at least in my opinion, he's like one of the best of the last like 20 years. I've really liked Davey Boy Smith. He's one of the best like powerhouse guys. He has had some great matches with guys like Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. And I feel like he could have at least gotten the world title for a stretch before
Jake,
he died.
I agree. I think another one for me would be Jake the Snake.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
Holy crap. He's one
Jay.
that I,
Yeah,
I would have loved to have the championship on him.
yeah. He should have at least gotten like one of those like big, long, like Mr. Perfect style Intercontinental title reigns, even if he wasn't a world champion. But yeah, he did not get what his popularity, character, ring work would have said that he would get.
I mean, could you imagine what a great heel move it would be if he'd lost the title and then, in order to keep a hold of it, he puts it in the sack with the snake?
Yeah, it would have
Meaning,
worked perfectly.
yeah, because no one's going to put their hand in a bag to find a viper waiting, you know?
That was an interesting thing about like Jake the Snake was he made every single person on the roster terrified of snakes. Like,
Oh, and I guarantee you, at least some of them were actually terrified.
oh, I'm
Yeah.
sure some were actually terrified. I'm sure some other ones didn't care and had to pretend. Because it's a constrictor and stuff. Like I'm sure some of those guys had dealt with snakes before. But
Let's just say
friggin'
if you're
Randy Savage got tore up by that thing.
like if you're terrified of snakes, trust me, when you work with him, you won't be anymore. You'll get over the fear pretty quickly.
hmm So, obviously, we've discussed a little bit about the main event, and we've discussed like who could break through. Who at the moment
Adam
do you
Bomb.
feel is at the moment? Who do you feel is
Oh my God, Atom Bomb.
unworthy of being main event?
Unworthy?
Yeah, like obviously we've got stars at the moment who sit there, and you guys have mentioned maybe Kane and Big Show can fit into those spots. Who do you feel is currently in the main event that shouldn't be?
Oh, the main event. Well, I'm just gonna say it, and I'll be the bad guy. Roman Reigns. I'm sorry. I understand the draw with him. I really do, but I don't know. He hasn't matured on me for me to really be on his side.
Man, he's a
Like,
weird thing because like I hated him for a while, and I don't. Oh, he's grown on me a lot in the last few months. Like he's had some good matches, and he's shown a little bit of a third dimension in the ring, even
I
if
was gonna
only
say,
for like a little bit.
I was
But
gonna
yeah,
say,
don't
let
get
me guess, you like him now though.
I mean, I like him, but he's not like one of my favorite guys, and I'm not entirely sure of this being like the time for him. But I get it. People have complained and complained and complained for like a decade about the new guys never getting these big pushes, and he's getting one. He's going to WrestleMania. He's almost certainly going to beat Brock Lesnar at this point. And though they could swerve me, I would have said the same thing about Undertaker beating Brock Lesnar last year. Uh, but
what a twist.
if, but they've just shoved a rocket up the dude's ass, and we're gonna see where it goes.
Like like
I
the match at
respect that they
Fastlane.
picked a guy.
Yeah, like the match at Fastlane. Okay, I'm not gonna say it was a bad match. It wasn't a bad match. It was a decent match. But right now, he's just being portrayed as to be the one guy to kick everyone's ass, like the one guy to lay out all members of the Authority, the one guy to lay out Big Show, Mark Henry, Kane. Obviously, they're trying to make him look like the biggest, strongest mofo there is right now, and that's something I don't mind. But it's kind of like, okay, but you're falsifying him. Like I've seen him in moments where he's down and out and stuff like that. Like it doesn't really help me build my want to see him, because I know you guys are pushing him or to be strong. You know what I mean? Like for me, Roman Reigns shouldn't be there yet. I'm not saying he should never be up there. I just don't think he should be there yet. It's been too pushed and too forced into it. Just because of his family lineage or his bloodline. Like I understand the guy has a great family lineage, but come on. Come
I don't
on.
know. He's better than Goldberg.
You talking
Goldberg
about that
couldn't
man
do
was amazing.
shit.
That man was amazing. Okay? Why don't you be talking bad about my Goldie, okay? Or no,
The only thing
Goldie.
besides a spear he ever did that looked good was that kick that killed Bret Hart. So
Oh man. But look, yeah, I don't. That's the one that I see that's in the main event right now. That, in my opinion, shouldn't be, but not to that tier yet. I don't know.
Okay, Skeletor, who do you feel then shouldn't be in the main event,
uh
if
the
anyone?
the main event's kind of like it's not like there's a million guys floating around there. Because Cena, despite what people say, he Yeah, he totally deserves it. He's had a lot of great matches. He's done a lot of great stuff. Even though he will every like third or fourth week walk out and deliver a promo that makes me feel embarrassed to be a wrestling fan. But and I get it. He's in with the kids. Randy Orton is legitimately one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I've been a huge fan of his since like 2004. I've been a huge Dan Bryan's my favorite wrestler in the world for the last like 3 years. I mean, I guess maybe Brock because I think Brock's great and he tears it up in the ring when he's there. But I do kind of I still do kind of hate the fact that the dude's only there like 3 times a year and he's world heavyweight champion. I get it, but it's something I don't like, and so I guess Brock Lesnar. But he's still like a great talent who's done amazing matches, and the triple threat match at Royal Rumble was like one of the best ever. So,
Yeah, I was going to say possibly one of the greatest triple threat matches of the last decade, at least.
Agreed.
Yeah, and his
Highly
worst
agree.
match is with Goldberg, who I mentioned earlier.
Do you know what? That's a very
With
good point.
Austin as the ref.
Do you know what? To me, I kind of feel all the stars are in their place at the moment. And I don't mean that as a knock to anyone who isn't in there or anyone that is in there. Because obviously, a lot of people don't feel that John Cena should be there. A lot of people don't feel Roman Reigns should be there. But as you guys have said, they're there for a reason, and people need to see that. Whether it's company reasons, whether it's popularity reasons, or whether it's just because they're a damn good worker. And I know a lot of people now, when they watch, they don't want to see like the big muscly guys. They just want to see someone who can fight. They want to see a wrestling match. And that tends to be the big thing in TNA at the moment. They're kind of pushing heavily towards that. I believe it was Drew McIntyre who took over their Twitter account recently. And the whole thing was like hashtag stand up for wrestling.
Not entertaining, yep. Or not entertainment.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
entertainment. It's to become wrestling again.
Oh my god, I like want to puke every time I hear someone do the like, oh, they're giving sports entertainment, not wrestling. Or, oh god, it's the worst argument. It's it's been like this for what 40 years. Like WWF has been an entertainment company for forever. It hasn't been a like just straight up we do matches and every now and then we do a segment since like the late 70s at the most. Like I don't get it. Like the freaking Attitude Era, which everyone like jerks off to, was like 90% promos and like 3-minute matches, which
I think
even
the difference
guys
is
from the
now-
time period like Edge hate.
I kind of feel the difference is now people are referencing it more. Like WWE acknowledge they're an entertainment company. They acknowledge that they're about entertaining. They're not about wrestling anymore. They rarely even say wrestling.
That's true. Like
So I kind of feel
superstars, like
fans
something-
maybe. Yeah, I mean, if you get told that, how can I say, they push it recently. Like Roman Reigns is going to be the next big thing. He's the enforcer, the powerhouse. Like when you hear things like that, after so long you get sick of hearing it. And I
A
think
little
that's
bit, yeah.
maybe why fans begin to turn on stars. Like Roman Reigns, as we've all said, has the potential. Maybe he's not ready now, but he's definitely got the potential. So have WWE kind of shot themselves in the foot by creating what they deem as to be a star too soon?
They do this thing like the last I don't know. They've always kind of done it, but they've been especially bad about it the last few years, which is they like assign catchphrases or nicknames to guys, like the lunatic fringe thing, and a million other ones where they just put like a weird nickname or catchphrase that they don't actually say connected to them, just so they can have something to put on a T-shirt. It's super weird and it feels really unnatural, like, and they've done it and it's come out okay, like when they called Umaga the Samoan bulldozer and stuff, but that's because Umaga didn't speak for himself. but it's like I could not imagine Dean Ambrose calling himself the lunatic fringe. That it's sounding really stupid and terrible.
Actually, I know where you're going with that, but I think for him specifically, I think he got the. I think it was a radio station in Las Vegas or something that he referenced that name from.
Yep.
That
And
was
it
actually
Okay.
something that he referenced from. But
His,
I know
his show
I know
was
what you
called The
mean.
Fringe or something, and he just jumped on it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Because I've heard them use that phrase before. Like I watched a very old Raw thing, and they called Bob Backlund the lunatic fringe once. And it was super weird. And so I thought it was just something Vince like thought of once and has kept it on the whiteboard like on permanent marker for 20 years, trying to attach it to people.
And now
I
he's
wouldn't be
just going,
surprised.
yes, it works. He's greasy. Give it to him.
Yeah.
We got it. But
What the one?
if it's unrelated to that, it's a little better.
No, the one that kills me is how they're naming Sting the Vigilante. I hate it because every time I hear that, I think of Batman.
Yep.
I'm Batman. It's like no. It's like I'm here to see Sting. To be fair, even the promo video that he had on Raw, he sounded like Batman. I don't know what the hell happened there, but no,
They modulated
he's
his
not Batman.
voice. It was a modulation of his voice.
They did
Right.
something like that in WCW once, and they referenced that on like their Twitter or something. And it's super weird.
I kind of feel like they did it because it was meant to be an inner monologue, and you'll never know what's actually in someone's head. But that was the only logic I could get out of it.
I also guess they want to continue that thing where Sting doesn't really speak yet. Like,
I said it last night. I fully believe Sting's not going to talk ever in WWE. I don't think. I don't know. I don't think he needs to ever though. Even if it does come down to the rumored match of Sting Taker next year, and they have a face-off the night after Mania this year, they don't need to say anything. That's it. That's all you need to acknowledge.
you just see
them
the
a year
gong.
later.
Oh no, you don't even hear the gong. Say, the way I've got this going is that they're going to make a star this year. In fact, they're going to make 2 stars, all because of the way Undertaker lost last year. Undertaker lost last year in order to put someone over.
Yeah.
And what he's done is he's put Brock Lesnar over, and this now leaves him in a situation where the streak doesn't matter anymore. So if Reigns beats Brock, Undertaker in theory has put the next big star over. And on top of that, Undertaker then gets to feud with what will probably be the next big heel in Bray Wyatt. So if Bray Wyatt goes over and becomes a heel claiming to be the next face of fear, you've then got your top face and your top heel off of one loss from Undertaker last year. Now, Undertaker losing 2 years in a row obviously leads to the situation, does Undertaker retire? So let's say hypothetically Undertaker loses to Wyatt. The night after on Raw, he goes out and he claims he's going to retire. He doesn't get to say it. The fans are sad. The fans are down and upset. Undertaker's about to leave. And then all of a sudden the lights go out. Sting appears face to face. And he shakes his head and tells him no. And that's it. That's all we need for a whole year's build-up. Mania sells itself.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
think-
Is the story over? Because I was getting excited there.
That's the story. It's built.
No, I like that. I like that. It's true. It does build up future talents. It also builds up a great storyline for next year. Will it happen that way? It's not sure because I don't even is Lesnar. I don't even know if Lesnar has resigned or no.
No one
Like,
knows. And that's
it's
the
not even-
interesting thing.
It's not even sure if Roman's gonna win, and that's something that I can't wait to see. Because now that the whole concept of Lesnar may actually be re-signed, you never know. Roman may not win, but with your storyline and how you built it, it makes a lot more sense. So I love your mind.
I'm also happy with this idea that maybe Reigns doesn't win this year
Mhm.
because it'll help him to build a star. On
Well,
the
it'll help him build him.
Of course. I mean, on the opinion that obviously the argument between Vince and Brock was apparently due to Brock wanting to work for both WWE and UFC.
Mhm.
Now, if Brock wants to work for both companies, say he does go to UFC as WWE champion, or he says he's leaving the belt here because he's got bigger things to do. Over the next year, you have Roman Reigns try and redeem himself. And the only way he can finally redeem himself is to beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 32. Like, how big a spit in the face would it be to the company to make you hate Brock Lesnar if he drops the belt purposefully after WrestleMania? Just dumps it and says he's done, or that he's leaving with it. I mean, fans would hate it because he's already done that for a full year.
Yeah.
It's something that's been done before. It's then left with a whole storyline almost that shouldn't be done. And thank you to Obnoxious CJ Webb. I just perfectly boots Taker Sting. Exactly how it should happen. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna big myself up, but I completely agree.
I'm not gonna big myself up. Well, stop rubbing yourself. So there you go.
Hey, it happened.
Stop it.
In all honesty, though, there's a lot of ways they can build stars coming off this Mania, and I think a lot of people have worried that this Mania is going to be lackluster. But if you look at the card, I think it's going to be fairly clear that there's going to be big stars built off this.
Oh no, for sure. Like the match card already, it seems promising. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, you know, the Age of Sting, the Age of Undertaker's not going to be a great match. But you know, I'm always going to go back being like, you got to stop comparing last year or comparing past matches with these guys. They've been in the business for like years and years. They're not idiots when it comes to in-ring capabilities. And I think that with Undertaker embrace Sting and Triple H, Brock and Roman even, you know, I think there's going to be a lot of great matches that come out of this. And you have a point when you say, yeah, there's going to be a lot of up-and-coming stars, whether they win or lose at this Mania, that they're still going to be like making something of themselves.
You know, something people have been asking. The thing that people have been asking for like 7 years that they've now been given but haven't acknowledged is the fact that like the perennial, always in the WrestleMania main event guys of John Cena, Randy Orton, even Triple H or Batista, all those guys, none of them are going to be in the main event this year. None of them. And I think that's a significant thing. That all those guys that they've been...
How did you just pronounce Batista?
Batista?
I thought you just pronounced it Boytista.
I like Boytista quite a bit.
That's just when he was younger, before he was...
Yeah, oh my god, it's Boytista!
Yeah, you know, you go from... It's like the superhero hierarchy. You have to be like something boy, and you can be something man when you grow up.
And I think it worked perfectly with Stephanie McMahon telling Cena, you know, that this WrestleMania maybe it could be with Cena or WrestleMania without Cena. And for me, I was like,
sick.
okay, dude, that was perfect.
Amazing.
That's perfect. Why not?
I like the fact that she was like she named everyone ever who was in the main event and then walked away, and the fact that WWE was no worse for wear after any of them. It was, you know, it's a significant thing that, you know, I mean, they might go a little, you know, they might have a bad year or two, but then they're back. The WWE has never been or will ever be just one guy.
No.
Like, you know, except maybe like at the very start with like Bruno and them. Like maybe then if Bruno just left, they might have been in trouble. But for the last 4 decades, no.
Okay, so before we go off air, I'm going to ask what I'm deeming as tonight's big question. Do fans build stars, or do WWE build stars? Now, obviously, we watched the rise of Daniel Bryan, and fans loved it, and it was purposefully because of fans that he kind of got to where he was, or that's how fans deem it. You could argue that WWE went, we've seen he has popularity, and then put him in the right situation and right storyline. So which do you feel it is?
Well, even with that claim, that still puts it on the fans, though, because the WWE sees that he has the popularity which is coming from the fans, so they adapted to that. Because initially, Bryan was not supposed to be in the main event last year. You guys already know this.
Of course, yeah.
And because of fans. So personally, to answer your question, before social media, WWE built them. Today, after social media or with social media, yes, WWE still builds them, but the audience has a say in it. Obviously it's not the audience will build a person like by themselves. They're going to build this person. You have to have WWE there, but I think that we, the audience, can give motivation for WWE to understand, okay, this guy may have something.
Well, also, even back then, like the fans did have a say, like when they started shitting on Lex Luger, even back then, it did prevent him from becoming a true main event guy and stuff like that, and they rolled back to WCW. Like, it's always had some little effect, but you know, and but now like it's way worse. Like you would not have a guy like Kevin Nash or I should say Diesel, who no one really liked that much, have a title for a year in today's climate.
Hey man, I like Kevin Nash. I don't know
Oh,
what the big issue with Kevin Nash was. I like the guy.
well, Kevin Nash got, he had good stuff when he was in the NWO and stuff. I'm talking about Diesel, who went from being just an enforcer to being a main event guy like really quick, and then got the WWE title for 12 months.
Okay.
Obnoxious CJ Webb says that Piper says fans build the stars, and he agrees. Can WWE build stars? Yes, but without the fans, they have nothing. I'm also going to go out on a whim and say that some stars build themselves. Like, some people are just built to be stars. Key example would be The Rock. When he got to become himself a little bit, he became huge. When he was Rocky Maivia, no one wanted to know him.
That was horrible.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, Rocky Maivia was the worst thing.
when he became himself, though, we saw him change. We saw him take on, obviously, a completely new role in the company. Did he build himself? Was that the fans? Was it WWE's decision? Was it The Rock saying, look, time to change?
Well, I think it was WWE's decision to actually put him in a role to allow him to talk. Like before, I don't remember if Rocky Maivia was the actual The Rock's or Dwayne's idea to come out just like that, or if it was WWE's. But I think at that time they didn't, they just kind of brought a new face in. They didn't think the guy could really speak or know. So I think when they put him in a position with Nation of Domination and told him, okay, well here's a mic, go out and talk. I think then that's when he started maturing. He started getting his character out, and it was like, holy shit, this guy can actually, talk on the goddamn mic. That's pretty impressive. So it's a little bit of column A and column B, maybe?
Yeah, to me, it's one of those things that it takes one hand to wash the other. And if you haven't got that, it's not going to work. Because you could pick a guy like Daniel Bryan and probably put him in TNA, and it just wouldn't work. Because he hasn't got the same following in TNA. So without that following of fans, he's not going to be as big a star as he is.
True. But you can possibly, like, even with the Attitude Era, the fans are going back and forth. If you have a riveting character that's actually truly entertaining and making the show worthwhile, I think fans would come over.
Well, so you mean you think they would jump ship from WWE to TNA if Daniel Bryan was to go with?
Not fully jump ship, and I don't not necessarily with Daniel Bryan. I'm saying if you have a character like, for example, like Stone Cold Steve Austin. If Austin was still as big as he was then now, if he went to TNA, I think people would follow. Because Austin is that type of character. Here's another example, CM Punk. If CM Punk went to TNA, people will follow.
I would have agreed with that sentiment back when they were on Spike, but they are now on a channel no one has. So I'm not entirely sure people could follow.
Oh, Destination America? Yeah, no. I heard about it, I'm like, what the hell is Destination America?
Like, I think the Discovery Channel has like 20 channels, and it's the second to lowest one of their 20 channels.
Wow.
Like, they got like 400,000 viewers in their first episode or something, and it's like one of their highest rated programs ever. Like it's super like low end, and you have to be someone who has like an 800 channel cable package to have it.
Are you guys aware that TNA actually beat Raw in ratings?
For real?
Yep.
No.
Yep. They beat them. If you give me a minute, because I believe there was a lot of their the Russian TV deal that they have. They beat them there. Give me 1 sec.
Hey, they won the Russian ratings war.
Guess who's moving? Guys, let me ask the last question. Obviously, while you're searching for this kid, last question of the night: who comes out of WrestleMania the bigger star? Roman Reigns or Bray Wyatt?
Oh man, It's depends so much on how well each match goes. Because if Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, I think that's going to be a good match, but a lot of people think it's going to be a shit show, and if it is a shit show, the guy's basically done. Like, it's over. He's going to get dumped out on the street like Lex Luger. It's if that WrestleMania match is bad. Bray Wyatt, I think it's going to be fine either way. But so I guess maybe Bray Wyatt, but if the Roman Reigns Brock match really plays well, then it's gonna be Roman.
For me, I would say Bray Wyatt. The only reason why is because of the individual that he's competing against and the significance surrounding that feud. I think for me, him, because if for me, it doesn't make sense him or Undertaker to beat Bray Wyatt. I think because how Undertaker, when he came into the business, his success, like the guy he looked up to, he actually passed the torch to Undertaker, pretty much being beaten by him. And Undertaker stated that he wants to do the same thing. Bray Wyatt being very similar to the Undertaker, I think he's going to do the same thing where he passes the torch to him by losing to him, and that's when how you went on being like, Undertaker's going to retire the next day. So I think for me, Bray Wyatt has the most to gain out of this, and will come out the top guy or the toppest guy at WrestleMania. But as for Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, yes, Roman Reigns may come out on top, or may be one of the guys, or may get like a lot of attention on him. But I think what Paul Heyman did on Raw, doing the promo and how Seth Rollins is going to come in and do the Money in the Bank cash thing, I think he's going to do that on Roman Reigns. I think Heyman pretty much went out there and told the actual storyline of what was going to happen to kind of sway all of us. So I think the top guy will be Bray Wyatt, who comes out.
Obviously, just before we go, guys, big thank you for tuning in, and a big thank you to our fans as well. And just as I posted at the end of the night there, who would be the bigger star by the end of WrestleMania? 3 people so far have already said Bray Wyatt, and we have no votes for Roman Reigns. So just let that sink in, and we'll see how it goes. A big thank you.
Just to follow up, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Just to follow up with the issue we talked about, TNA beat both WWE Raw and SmackDown in the ratings in their Impact Wrestling debut on DMAX, which is a German channel. They featured 220,000 viewers, and Raw only drew 200,000 viewers. Though the following week, they were pretty much screwed over again.
Of course they were.
But it was 1 week. It was 1 week.
They won in Germany. They did it.
Exactly.
That's the 1 week that. Oh wow. Apparently Bray Wyatt is definitely coming out the bigger star. We've got 6 votes to none so far.
There you go.
So guys, we've come to the end of another episode of Breakdown. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's listened and who's interacted. A big thank you to Cade from Minds of Carnage coming along. Don't forget, guys, that you can also get along to levelsofwrestling.podbean.com to go and check out Mind of Carnage, Just Saying podcast, and of course the Ringside Ramblers. All these podcasts are fantastic, and they're all part of the Levels of Wrestling family. Be sure to check them all out, and be sure to give them all your feedback so that we can help improve all the products we can. Next week on Breakdown, we're going to be discussing in depth about how we would change the creative process within WWE. Of course, we're going to be as positive as possible. If you guys want to give us any questions that you maybe want us to answer about creative, just let us know. Head over to Levels of Wrestling on Twitter, send us a message, and we'll be sure to read it out next week. If you've been liking what we've been doing as well, head over to YouTube, give us a like, subscribe, and of course comment how you feel about the show. So a big thank you to you all, and we will see you all again same time next week.
Adam Bomb for life.